severely allergic to my little brother's kitten's fur, but my stepdad doesn't care.
Come on, man. She's allergic.
I feel this. I'm very allergic to cats. Background. For the first 12 years, it was just me and my mom, now 40s female, and things were good. We were happy, etc., etc. Usual good single-parent household stuff. Freaking stepdad had to come in. By the way, this comes from Deleted. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, 6 years ago, she gets married to my stepdad, who we'll call Frank from now on. And he's a good guy. A little stuck in his ways, but a nice guy. I was 12 when they got married, and Frank took me on wholeheartedly, which was great since I'd never had a father figure before. Not long after they got married, my mom fell pregnant and had my little brother, who we'll call Tommy. And I love my little brother. I did everything I could to help my mom and Frank look after him. I cried just as hard as them when he took his first steps. We're really close. That's sweet. But a few months ago, my mom and Frank split up. Divorce was amicable. Tommy spends every other weekend with Frank, and I know I can go around whenever I want. I'm 18. Courts can't say anything for me. But I'm busy with school, so I don't see him as often as I probably should. The problem. After my mom and Frank broke up and Frank moved out, Tommy started pleading for a pet. Now, we've been a pet-free household, with the exception of a few goldfish, for my entire life. But my mom has a soft spot for Tommy's pleading face, so she looked online and found a litter of kittens ready to go. So one day, Tommy came home from school to a tiny black kitten that he called Shadow, and he was totally in love. Now, I've always been asthmatic, and I'd noticed that going around my friends' houses who had cats, I'd get a bit more wheezy, but I put that down to the fact that me and my friends are quite active, and we practice dances and laugh till we cry pretty much every time we meet up. So I get wheezy at houses without pets too. Kind of shocking to not know that you're allergic to cats. But within a day or so, I was using my inhaler every 15 minutes or so. That night, my mom had to take me to the ER because of a severe asthma attack that caused me to stop breathing more than once. This was thankfully Tommy's weekend at his dad's, so he didn't see me like that and didn't have to come to hospital with us. While at the hospital, my mom was told that if it was cat fur that had done this to me. An allergy combined with my asthma had triggered the extreme attack, and I shouldn't be around cat fur for very long. I didn't remember much other than that. I was mostly terrified that this was the end. That I was going to pass away at 18 from a freaking asthma attack. So this bit is filled in by my mom, who told me afterwards, once we were sure I was going to be okay. She phoned Frank and explained what had happened and asked if he could go pick up Shadow and rehome him in some way, and called the deep cleaners to come and basically steam the house clean to make sure that all remnants of fur were gone by the time we got home. And she'd stay with me in a motel for the night so this could be done. According to Mom, he agreed to this wholly, expressed worry towards me, and even promised to gently break the news to Tommy. We get home after the night in the motel, and all signs that we ever had a cat are gone. Frank's left a note on the kitchen table letting us know that he's taken Shadow to live with him so that Tommy doesn't have to entirely get rid of his kitten. Mom's a little annoyed because that still introduces cat fur around me, but we quickly set up a system that Tommy would strip off just inside the front door, be dumped in the bath, and his clothes dumped in the wash straight away, and we should be fine. Tommy comes home and Mom puts him through that. He's confused a little, but goes with it anyway and asks me to read him a bedtime story. Things go on like this for a month or two. Tommy occasionally going to Frank's apartment on weekends that he was technically meant to spend with Mom because he wanted to visit his kitten, and Mom was happy to let him do that. The fallout. One weekend he stays with us and I take him to the park because I still feel really guilty that his beloved pet had to go because of me, and we're on the swings. I'm pushing him on the swings. And this conversation occurs. Tommy: I can't wait till I get my report card next week. Me: yeah, you think you've done really well, do you? Tommy: and then Shadow can come home. Me: what? Tommy: Dad told me. Mom said Shadow had to live with Dad because I wasn't doing well at school. But now I've done really well, so Shadow can come home.
Whoa. She totally used this whole cat thing to like have Tommy do better in school.
Whoa. I don't answer. I can't. Frank had lied to Tommy, and now Mom is going to have to explain what's actually happened. It'll be even harder than it was before because he really has worked hard. So we're assuming that the stepdad has said, oh, your mom said you can't have. Whoa, that's messed up. That's messed up. You should be telling this child the truth. I don't think it matters that he's young. I think you should say, like, hey, your sister's very allergic, so it just means you can't have the cat. But, we're not going to get rid of him. We just got to keep going like this.
And then just being like, well, Like, I'm not happy with your grades. If your grades get better, then maybe this cat can come back, when that's not even true at all.
I've seen his report card and I have never seen him have one that sings his praises so much. That evening, once Tommy's in bed, I tell my mom about the conversation and she's horrified. She phones Frank and tells me that his basic response was, I thought it would be easier. I didn't think he'd actually get his grades up. Like, I didn't know it'd work. So we're both fuming. Mom sits down with Tommy and explains the truth. It's nothing to do with his grades. She's really sorry. It's because Shadow made me very unwell, so on and so forth. I listen from outside the door and I hear Tommy crying and saying it's unfair and he worked really hard. Within an hour, Mom is taking Tommy to Frank's. He comes home that evening and won't talk to Mom. He storms straight upstairs and slams the bathroom door. He's used to the strip off and straight in the bath routine now. It's been a week and a bit and he's not spoken to either of us. I'd be okay to deal with this if that was all. He's 5. He'll grow out of it and speak to us again eventually. But he's continued to storm upstairs without stripping off at the door. And I'm starting to find cat hairs on my bed. My bedroom is nowhere near the bathroom. There's no way any accidental cross-contamination could go on. I've phoned Frank up a few times to ask how Tommy's doing, and he's really cagey and saying how angry Tommy is, not just at his mom, but at me too. And maybe I'm overthinking, but I always think he sounds a little happy when he's talking about how angry Tommy is at me. And my brother's a sweetheart. He's the little kid who cries if you step on an ant. I can't believe he's coming and spreading cat hair in my room of his own volition. But I don't really want to tell my mom because I don't want to get Tommy into massive trouble. You should absolutely tell your mom. I mean, he's 5. She'll have a conversation with him. He doesn't understand, but you should absolutely have a conversation so that this doesn't keep happening because you're at risk.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been sneakily washing my sheets and hoovering my room as often as I can to make sure I'm not getting too wheezy, but I'm worried about ending up in hospital again. What should I do? And there is an update, but girl, tell your mom.
Tell your mom. Because even if this is like the stepdad, then it's like no one is safe except for you and your mom. Like, that's the only person that you could talk to. So do that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, like, I think whatever you told him, maybe it isn't enough. Maybe you haven't told Tommy how serious it is. Like, I know he's young, but like, you could say this is really serious. Like, it would not be good. Beyond maybe saying like, oh, it just makes me sick. First off, there is an update. Thank you all for your responses. I took the time to read through each of them and took everything on board. So Friday morning, I told my mom what was going on before I headed off to school and told her that I really didn't want to get Tommy in trouble. She said we'd sit down and talk with him after school, the pair of us, and get to the bottom of this. And he'd be grounded and have a scooter taken away because he's not getting away with it. So we sat down and talked with him. This is a summary of the conversation. Mom, have you been putting cat hair on your sister's bed? Tommy, yeah. Mom, that's very wrong, Tommy, because explanation of severe allergy. Tommy looks shocked at this point. I don't think he'd figured out that it could actually remove me from this plane. Exactly. And which is what I'm saying. I'm like, you have to have a serious conversation with him. I know he's young, but like, explain this could unalive OP.
Right. 5-year-olds can learn about that stuff.
He kept looking at me and I was nodding in agreement with Mom. He said, sorry, Dad said that if you were okay with a bit of cat hair, Shadow could come home. He said that was a good way for him to come back. I'm sorry. Mom, what exactly did Dad say? He said that OP got sick from cat hair, but having little bits about would mean she got better at being around it and then Shadow could come home, like my injections, which kind of is true unless you have a very serious allergy. It can be true that you can get used to it over time, but also OP has asthma, so it is a very different situation.
Yeah, that's not something that goes away.
So since then, Mom and I have basically gone no contact with Frank. Tommy went for his weekend there with the knowledge that he's grounded, and that's been passed on. When Mom asked Frank about what Tommy had said, he denied it, saying he explained allergies properly and that it sucked, but that was the way it was. We don't believe him. But since it's the word of a 5-year-old against that of a 40-year-old pillar of community, there's nothing we can do about it. Tommy came home yesterday evening, stripped off at the door, went straight to the bath, and then came and gave me a hug once he was clean. He's such a sweet 5-year-old.
That's really sweet.
Apologizing again for what he'd done. Of course, I'd forgiven him. He's a little kid who's been manipulated by a grown-up, which sucks. But you know what doesn't? Joining us for full episodes with stories just like this, just go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app and just search up OK Storytime. And there is a little bit more to this story, so we're gonna freaking jump in it. Unless you have any final thoughts.
Just that's crazy, Frank. Like, if that is true with like allergies and stuff. Like it doesn't seem worth the risk here.
No, I mean, it is true. It is true, but this is a different case. I had allergy shots for years. It is same with vaccines. You know, you're giving a little bit of that allergy or that infection so that you can build a tolerance to it. But it is completely different in OP's case because we've already had her experiencing this, hospitalization. And also it takes a long time. As someone, like I never had cats. I'm sure if I got cats, I could eventually build up an immunization to it or immunity to it, but it's not fun. I get like hives or I'm like sneezing and coughing and I have headaches. It's not fun.
And I'm sure like hospital trips aren't fun either.
So now hopefully the issue has been put to rest. It sucks to know that Frank tried to do that to me. Whether he thought he was helping or was just being a jackbutt, I guess we'll never know. But I cut him out of my life, and that's that, I guess. Edit, as per other suggestions, I will be getting Tommy a little plush cat sometime soon for him to have at home. It's not his fault.
That's really cute.
I love their relationship. That's very sweet.